Thanks for coming as well, bro. Thanks for coming.
No problem, mate. Like I say, anytime, anything I can help with, mate, I'm more than happy. I'm
Oh,
more than happy. I like what you're doing. It's a good. I like it.
yeah,
We'll leave the bit out about
yeah. That's what I'm saying.
I
It's,
was going to say, don't do that because we play them soon as well. And they'll no doubt they'll slap us as well.
hey, bro.
no, do you know what it is as well? I know you've got a little bit of a thing with fans where you like to wind them up or you like to have a little bit of banter. And do you know what? That's one of the things I love about the National League. Like the fans are so in tune with their clubs. And when you go to all these stadiums that we play at the National League, they're literally on top of you. So
Yeah.
I hear the abuse that Ashley's get, like when he's going up to take a goal kick and it's like you know what they all say, and the fan it gets. Ash loves it. We all love it. But how do you see it? Is it something that you enjoy, or is it something that you find it can go over the edge a little bit with some of the fans?
Do you know what? I think a lot of them do take it lightheartedly. And they can, they're saying it just like as a trying to get in your head situation on that kind of situation. But there is the odd few who do really overstep the mark. And obviously that's where, to be fair, I've learned to detach myself from that. So like I won't give them the time of day. But if you've got the guys who are like having a crack with your art, like behind the goal or whatever, and they're genuinely just having a laugh, then you can give it back to them. Do you know what I mean? But the people, I call them entitled people, the entitled people who think they can pay their money and they are entitled to abuse you. And there's a lot of them creeping in. I'd say a lot of them from the higher clubs who have obviously been relegated, who feel like they're too good for the National League. I'm sure, as you're well aware, you two, you've seen it as well. The fan bases that think that they're miles better than where they should be, but they're obviously around for a reason. Do you know what I mean?
I remember your tweet about to Ryan Reynolds about maybe getting you a movie part in one of his films. I got a chuckling because I knew he was just trying to bait everyone in and just reeling them all in. I saw the emojis, but is that something that obviously the Wrexham fans? I know the Wrexham fans are passionate as anything. Are those the kind of fans that you like to get under their skin and maybe give them a little bit?
Even more so, yeah. Even more so, especially when you give them a bit of rope and they keep pulling it. Like you don't even have to do anything. Like I put another tweet out the other day about Phil Parkinson hating goalkeepers because he was kicking off about the thing in America with Paul Mullin. Yeah. And even then, like they just dive on it straight away. And it's you have to pull them in still. You have to, because if you don't, it's the good interaction as well. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's nice to interact with these people and sort of have a bit of a laugh and make it lighthearted. Do you know what I mean? And like I say, you do get your odd ones who don't wish you so well, but then you do get the odd message come through as well that they do say to you, I do wish you well, and like it was a good crack and that. So, but bigger fan bases is always funny to. I think with that situation, it was because their lad, I can't remember his name, but their lad was silly enough to leave his boot in, like, and before I'd even made like. Genuinely at that moment in time you grab your face because you don't know what's just happened. But before, my dad told me before I'd even like held my face, the referee had basically pulled the red out anyway, so it doesn't matter what I was doing, he was getting sent off anyway. So you, like I say, you're stupid enough to leave your boot in, you've got to face the consequences. If it was the other way around, it was on Ben Foster, my word, would they have been screaming, mate.
Welcome to another episode of Beyond the 92. My name is Femi Ilesanmi and I'm joined there with a good friend of mine, Jamal Fyfield. It's a show where we discuss news, players, and the latest results. We also try to shine light on the Vanarama National League. Today I'm joined by a good friend of mine. He's from the other side of the road. But listen, it is what it is. You can't help who your friends are, innit? I'd like to introduce you all to Laurie Walker, Barnet Football Club. Welcome, Laurie.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm looking forward to it. And like you say, sometimes you can't choose who your friends are. Do you know what I mean?
Trust me. But no, we'll get into everything. We'll get into everything. But my first thing is this, Laurie. Yeah, like, bro. Now, Barnet, they've come down from League Two a couple of years ago, and I like to think like they kind of struggled, like when they first came down, not making playoffs, whatnot, and I feel like in the last couple of years, this is the Barnet that everyone remembers, you know, competing, you know, and last year you fell short, you got to the playoffs, and this year you've had an amazing start to the season. Just talk to me about what's going on in the building, because it seems like something good's happening over there.
Yeah, for sure, mate. I mean, we're very, very strong this year. We built a very good side last year. Obviously, the gaffer is very good at putting players together who gel well, and he demands players who want to work hard and obviously want to play for the club. Whereas I feel previous years they've had maybe a lot of big names through the door. And as I'm sure you two guys have probably both witnessed at clubs that you've been at before, if you've got too many big names in one place, I think it can create a very toxic environment. And you don't necessarily get lads who are wanting to play for the club. You get lads who are wanting to probably just pick up a bit of dough and, you know, take that home every Saturday. Whereas with what we have at Barnet now, we have a very close-knit group, a very tight group who all want to go in the same direction. And, you know, the main goal is promotion. And we've got a management staff who obviously drive us on to do that and achieve the highest highs. You know, we fell short last year, so the demands are even higher this year as to where we're at. And the gaffer's made that perfectly clear that he wants to go that one step further. He doesn't want to fall short this year. And, you know, I think with the big hitters like Wrexham and County gone this year, I think it's very, very open. And, you know, we've had a flying start and I know we can keep that up and we've just got to stick to the high standards. But I feel like the difference is now it's a very settled ship. The gaffer's got his squad and he's brought very good players in with him to settle that ship. And he's added this year to what we had last year. He's kept the core of what we had. And he's added some very, very talented players to our group this year. Obviously, we've got Brunty who's come in. You guys had him with you last year, and he's some player. He really is. And he's making like a massive difference to us already. You know, everything seems to go through him, and he keeps everything ticking. You know, and the biggest thing for me is we've gone solid at the back as well. You know, we have a really good defensive unit this year, and I think that's going to be quite telling for us as well.
No, for sure. Speaking of Brunty, the little traitor, I love that boy to bits. Like, great character in the dressing room. But I know you thought Femi was having a little pop at you, a little dig there when he said you maybe fell short in the playoffs there, but he generally wasn't, because obviously you're the goalkeeper, Barnet. We're two Bournemouth defenders, and it's our local rivalry, isn't it? So we've had so many games, and they're more like wars, to be honest. Like, every time you come out of those games, you really know you've been in the game. Not much is given either way, and they're always great affairs. And obviously, we've got you guys on the weekend, so it's going to be an interesting test. But what I'm really impressed with is how a striker like Nick Kabamba has also popped up with. He started the season really well with 5 goals. I think Collins is also doing all right at the other end. And you guys picking up a lot of results, a few clean sheets. So has the secret been the way that learning from last year, maybe falling a little bit short, or has it been maybe a bit of a hangover where you're just thinking, okay, this is what we need to do better this season?
I think obviously, I think it's a very fine line. I think you can go either way once you make the playoffs and you have that disappointment. But with the gaffer that we have, he doesn't allow that to happen. You know, you're either with him or you're not. And he's got high expectations and he will drive them to get what he wants. And he's made it perfectly clear that if you're not on the ride, you're gone. Do you know what I mean? And like, he will find the people who want to pull in the right direction, who want to be there for the team. And I think last year, the loss in obviously the quarters to you guys, I think it gave us that extra bite to go away over the summer and then come back and really hit the ground running, knowing that there's such a good opportunity to actually get promoted this year with, like I say, Wrexham and Notts gone, because we both know how strong they were last year. Because I remember watching the game where you played Wrexham away, and I remember rightly, you guys went 1-0 up. Is that right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they just turned it on, and the atmosphere swung in their favour. And it's a tough place when that happens. So I think the gaffer's looked and he's seen what we needed to improve on, and everyone's just come back full of confidence, and it's just that extra bit between the teeth to go that one step further and really push for promotion this year, because it is anyone's league.
It really is. And you guys have got some good players. Obviously, we've mentioned Brunty, we've mentioned Nick Kabamba, but you've also got the likes of players like Idris Kanu, that can just, on his day, he can cause any defense a whole bunch of problems, what I mean? You've got Gorman in midfield, you got a real team, and you got a Akimo at the back, which I really like as a player, and the fact that you've kept most of that squad together. Obviously, you lost to Haviland, but you celebrate that because he's gone to Peterborough. But the fact that he's kept most of that squad together is a real good. And when you keep a squad together year upon year, they tend to get stronger. Do you think that's happened over there?
I think keeping our core squad from last year has definitely helped, because all we've had to do is add and strengthen in every position. And I think that helps as well, because you've got lads who have come in, and it obviously drives others on to go that one step further as well. Do you know what I mean? Because they know that they're now really in a battle, not just on the pitch, but for their position as well, because the manager's going to want the person who's doing the job and actually pushing it through. So I think that is key, to add good players in, because good players come in, it drives the players that are there on even more. And that is where I feel like the success is coming. Because, like the likes of Idris was carrying a lot of load last year, and Nicky was carrying a lot of load last year. Now we've got strength in every position, and we can rotate. We're able to rotate. And, we've got lads who come in who do just as good of a job. And, it's all fighting and jostling for positions. You guys know what football's like. And it's, that having that person on your tail drives you on to do better.
Well, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. Well, it's been a busy bank holiday weekend, and there's been a lot of fixtures. So I think we should get right into it. I think we're going to take it back to Saturday's fixtures, or should I even say Friday evening? That's when the weekend started, So Jamal, do you want to take us through the fixtures?
So yeah, on the first set of fixtures on the Friday, we had Rochdale versus Bromley, which was a 2-2 draw. Gus Mafuti was our last guest, Laurie. Highlighted Tyree Sinclair as a player he's one to watch. And he popped up with a couple goals, 4 goals, I think it was, over this bank holiday weekend. And then we've got Solihull, who have started really well as well. And Halifax Town also drew 1-1. And Southend, that club that you just never know what's going to happen because of the points deduction that we heard about as well. We're going to go on to that. They beat Eastleigh 2-0. So how did you see the Bromley versus Rochdale fixture, Laurie? And I'll come on to you, Femi, about the Solihull Halifax.
Bromley Rochdale, I think, was always going to be a very tight game, because we all know that Bromley are a force in this league and have been for the last God knows how many seasons. Rochdale recently relegated, going to want to look to react and go straight back up, because they're not going to obviously want to stay in the National League for long. So I think, and it's a hard place to go as well. It's a very hostile place. Another one of them grounds that you've said about at the start that's very tight and enclosed. So you've got their fans on your tail. But I think Bromley know that they need to start getting results, and I think that was always going to be in their mind, and they know they need to start building now. And Bromley are always sort of quite slow starters, I find, in this league. But then they always string results together and then just fly through and make a large late charge for the playoffs like they do every year. So for me, a draw for them away at Rochdale isn't a major surprise for me, because the kind of squad that they are, the team that they are, and the resilience that they have as well to be able to go to somewhere like Rochdale and get a result, even if they look down and out. They've always got the opportunity. We saw that in the playoff semi-final. They were down and out, and then they come from nowhere and obviously nearly pushed it all the way and just fell short. But yeah, for me, that result there doesn't surprise me in the slightest. And I think, being the team that Bromley are, they were always going to go up to Rochdale with a chance of getting a good result like they did.
Oh, for sure. And you know what? There's a bit of a curse going around, the Beyond the 92 curse. So every time we say a player to watch either scores or he gets sent off. And Josh Paisley, unfortunately, on that occasion was the one who got sent off. So I'm going to ask you one to watch, Laurie, and I hope you're going to say a goalkeeper, but just bear in mind what could happen in the next game. But that man, Michael Cheek again, who literally knows where the goal is. I don't want to put you on the spot, but has he scored past you in the recent seasons?
I can pretty much say I think he did last season. To be fair, I think
he's the guy that knows where the goal is, isn't it? So
he's one of the players who he will change a game on his own, and he can literally change a whole game on his own, and he can create something out of nothing. And he's shown that with his experience. He's a handful for centre halves.
Well, I love playing against Cheeky. He's always going to give you his best. He always come off with a lot of respect. But going on to that Solihull game, Fem. Solihull won. Halifax won. Solihull at home. How do you see that one?
Obviously, Solihull are flying high right now, and I feel like going to Halifax is a very tough place to go. Halifax's pitch is really big, so yeah, it's always a tough place to go. And Halifax also, there are no pushovers. Like you've seen every season, that it's like they rise to the occasion whenever they play a big club or a club that's higher up in the table. And as you can see earlier on in the season, they beat the likes of Oldham already, and so it's no surprise if they're going to get results against clubs that are up there in the table, especially when you go to their place. I've spoke to Gus about the game. Gus did say that Solihull could have maybe put the game to bed in the first half, but the game's not won in 45 minutes, and you give a team like Halifax 45 minutes to get back in the game, that's what they're going to do, So credit to them.
Yeah. And so I've got a question for you, right? Now, it's no disputing how much we obviously love the game. But the situation Southend find themselves in, sometimes they're not getting paid, is the word on the grapevine. The stadium's slowly becoming derelict, as I've heard from some fans. And it's just a horrible place to be. So my question to you two is, if you was in the Southend boys' position, would you be trying to get out, or would you be trying to stick around and get the club out of the mud as it is? Because let's be honest, we've got bills to pay, we've got kids to feed, we've got families to look after, and roof over our head to keep the lights on. So what are you guys doing in that situation? I think personally, I'm going to have to get out.
Do you know what, Jamal? I've been in that position. Yeah. So I was I think I was 20 or 21, and I was playing for Kettering Town in the National League at the time. Okay. And it was the likes when Luton, Newport County, all of them boys were in the National League. And Imran Ladek, the chairman, actually moved us from Rockingham Road in Kettering to Rushden, because obviously Rushden had gone bust. Now, we had no idea that he didn't have any money to do this. He was paying ridiculous money on rent per month on the stadium. So we went into the season, started really well. We beat Notts County 3-1 the first day of the season. And bearing in mind, I was a young boy at this point. This was my first year of playing football, men's football as well. And because I dotted around on the bench at Morecambe, Millwall, all of that lot. And then obviously decided to just really need to go and play. So I've been in that situation, and it is a horrible place to be. And the first month, the payments were late. We all questioned it. Second month, it got later again. And then the third month, nothing come. 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, nothing at all. And you're chasing. And you've got a chairman who's not answering his phone. You've got a club that are going, we don't know what's happening, but we need you to still go and play. And it's like, well, hold on a minute. I haven't got any money to get to training. Like, my dad had to pay my bills. He had to pay my car. He had to pay a load of money towards my rent because I'd just taken a place out in Milton Keynes. And all this happened to me at the age of like 2021. I had no clue what to do, where to turn. I was reaching out to the PFA, and they were saying, look, we can only do so much because we don't cover the National League as such. And it's a horrible place to be psychologically. But for me, that hour and a half of going onto a pitch was my moment of switching off and being able to just forget about everything and all the nonsense going off and not being able to pay my phone bill or my car bill. And it was a really odd situation, because at the same time I wanted to go, no, why am I putting myself at risk for you when you're not even paying me? And then on the flip side, there was that bit of freedom when I stepped out onto the pitch to be able to go and express myself and just do what I was doing before having to come off the pitch and deal with the madness and like on how I was going to get to training the next day or how. So I think for them boys there, it's a real catch-22, especially with a club the size of Southend as well. It's hard, because I think a lot of them will be sitting there thinking, right, I need to get out of here. But on the same sense, like, I can guarantee the club, if it's anything like Kettering, will be doing the same thing. Empty promises. Look, the money's coming this month. You're going to get paid. Just go with it. But before you know it, you're at an end of the season and you've got administrators coming in and you're seen as a creditor. But these people, just the people above, don't care about that. They don't care about the fans. Not, do you know what? That's wrong for me to say. Not every chairman is the same, because my chairman at Barnet is very, very passionate about the club, and he's so passionate about their stability, as I know yours is also. And they're chairmen who live within their means. They don't pay silly money. They won't break their budget. They will make sure the club is stable. Whereas we had a chairman who was just offering stupid money. We had the likes of Phil Eiffel, Nathan Kubu, and these boys were on big, big money, and he couldn't afford it. But then in the same sense, like, I was having to practically ring him and beg him when I had bailiffs on my door saying, I need my wages because I've got to pay these people. Otherwise, I'm going to be homeless. But they don't care when he's turning his phone off and ignoring your phone calls and texting you back saying, I haven't got money. And sometimes these people, they want to take the money, as much money out of the club as possible. They don't care what happens to the people down below. So it's a really difficult situation. And it's quite a pleasant surprise to see how well they've started with all that going on in the background, because it's so tough to pull through that situation and actually completely focus on doing a good job for the club, or actually hurting you, like you say, taking food off your table and making you sweat because you're not sure how you're going to pay your mortgage. Do you know what I mean? And he might be a multi-millionaire at the top who doesn't have these worries, so he doesn't care. Do you know what I mean? But these people still manage to find their way into football somehow. And we've seen it to so many clubs, Bury, Kettering, the list goes on. Do you know what I mean? And they have no care.
I did that with Ebbsfleet a couple of seasons ago as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It happened to them as well. Do you know what I mean? Up and down. And it's just crazy, man. I think some clubs and some owners go in not realising that it's a proper club that they have to run properly. Then try and play real life football manager with the place. Do you know what I mean?
Hats off to them Southend boys. And do you know what? I've got no doubt that by the end of September, that 10-point deduction, it won't even matter, because the way they're playing, the way they're together,
minus one already.
I've got so much respect for them. But the reason why I don't think I could do it, because I would feel like if I get injured, God forbid I break my leg, or God forbid I do a cruise ship, are you going to even be able to pay for my treatment or my surgery? These are the things I'm thinking about. Do you know what I mean?
You're gonna make Southend go on strike, bro.
Was that fair?
You're gonna make Southend go on strike after they see this.
Disclaimer, please. I'm just voicing my opinion. Please,
part of his master plan, Fem. It's part of his master plan.
To be fair, we've got some players over there that I'm sure a lot of teams will take some of their players because they've got a really good squad. Really good squad. But yeah, going on to the other fixtures, obviously Aldershot beating Willstone, which was another shock, because Willstone are a team that are really capable of stringing some really good results together away from home. So my surprise result for that bank holiday weekend was Altrincham beating Chesterfield at home. 2 late goals from Dira Angus, who came on against myself and Femi and really put himself about. And this added time now is really adding a new dimension to the game, you know, because even when you're tired, then you see another 8 minutes go on, you're thinking, oh my God, it's like another half an hour when you're 1-0 up. So that was a surprise result, Altrincham versus Chesterfield. And obviously we drew 1-1 with Oldham. I thought we should have won the game on chances. We had a lot of chances where I thought we could have put them to bed. And that maybe is the story of our season so far. But How did you guys see that Altrincham v Chesterfield result and the Aldershot beating Wolston?
I think.
Go on, Laurie.
I think the Alti result is. I think there's a lot of pressure on Chesterfield this year. I think it's a hard place to be for them because there's so many expectations for them to run away with the league, like Wrexham and Notts did. So I think there's that added pressure for them, and everyone's going to want to always shoot at them. It's always a bit of a golden ticket to play against them, you know, because it's always going to be seen as a scalp, as we've just said there. So to be honest, and Altringham's not an easy place to go. It's it's another hostile environment, and they, you know, it doesn't surprise me. And Altrincham have got some very good players, to be fair. I know Ethan Ross, their keeper, and they have a very strong side also. So that, for me, with the added time, isn't a massive shock, because Alti are more than capable of that.
Sure.
And Ben, what about the how did you see our game, Femi? We'll quickly touch on it. The Oldham, when we played Oldham, one of the favourites. Chesterfield, one of the favourites. As you said, Laurie, now the two big hitters of Wrexham and Notts are gone. Those two are the big boys now, because they've got a striker in James Norwood, a striker in Will Grigg. Naylor's gone in there at Chesterfield. So there's a lot of expectation. But Fem, what do you think?
Yeah, I think our game was a really good game, and I think it lived up to its expectation. The only thing that was missing was goals, but there was enough chances for there to be goals. I feel like we had the ascendancy. I feel like I'm not being biased here, but I do feel like if there was a team to come out on top with 3 points, maybe it could have been us. I feel like we had the better of chances, a few in the first half and more in the second half. But I did like Oldham. I feel like they're experienced, they're robust, and I feel like they've got a striker in James Norwood, which you really need to concentrate on, because when everyone gets tired, that's when he starts coming alive. So, and it's funny because I had a conversation with him about it, and yeah, I knew what he was up to. He was waiting until like 70th minute for everyone to get tired, and then that's when he started moving a bit more sharp, and it was like, oh, okay then. So they've got a real striker on their hands there, you know. So they're definitely going to cause problems this season. But yeah, for the most part, I think like, yeah, we should have got the 3 points.
I agree. Right on to Laurie's first result of the bank holiday. A 1-0 loss to Dagenham and Redbridge. Again, a late goal. And Dorking drawing 2-2 with York City. The York manager, unfortunately, has been sacked. A team that me and Femi have both played for. An amazing club. It just seems as though York can't catch a break, really, when it comes to managers. Up and down. They've become a bit of a yo-yo club, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. It just seems as though they can't get a foothold in the National League or get themselves going. So how did you see that result, Laurie? And talk to us through your loss to Dagenham and Redbridge, another derby as well.
It was a tough one Saturday, to be fair. I'll be completely honest, we never turned up to the races. We come away from our game plan. We didn't stick to it. We didn't execute it well enough.
What's your game plan, by the way? Just for curiosity.
So we play with 12 at the back, 6 up front, and we try and kick it off the pitch as much as possible, basically.
Similar to us then. We can work with that.
Now we had a game plan, and we didn't execute it well enough. We got given all the tools to go and win the game, and didn't turn up. And collectively, we didn't have enough players show up on that game. We got punished with it. You know, all it is, games swing so quickly. Unfortunately, it was an own goal. But again, you don't take your chances in these games, and you get punished with something as simple as that. So, you know, it shows with this league even more so than any that you have to be at the races with every game, because there is no easy game at this level. You know, anyone can beat anyone. And it just, we weren't at it at all. And, you know, we paid the price for it with, like you say, a late goal, and we just weren't at it enough to be able to overturn that and get the result back.
And for me, Dorking v York, Dipper Akinyemi scoring again. To be fair to him, he's come on into the league and started putting away the goals. James McShane's carrying on from last year, his form. How did you see that result? 2-2, Dorking being the home team.
Yeah, Dorking's always tough. You know, the 3G and the total soccer. They attack in numbers. You know, so not surprised that they got goals there, but also at the same time, with that being said, they go a little bit gung ho, and they could be left exposed at the back at times. You know, but I don't think the manager minds that. I feel like with York City, that club. Like, obviously, Jamal, me and you have had two different experiences at York.
Let me ask you a question with that, right? Do you think with clubs like that who keep continually changing their manager, the reason why they don't get success is because they keep changing the manager? They don't get any stability in. They don't let a manager. And sometimes you might have to stick with a manager. I don't know. You might see it differently. Sometimes you have to stick with a manager. You may have to go down, but let him build his team to then look at what he's doing.
I 100% agree with you. And that's exactly what I was gonna say. I was like, when me and Jamal were both there, but I feel like we had two complete different experiences. Now, in the time Jamal was there, they achieved success. They got promoted to League Two. In the time I was there, we got relegated to the National League. In my second year, I think in the 2 years I was there, I think we had 4 or 5 managers. You know, and since then, that was 2016. Since then, they haven't had a manager that's had a solid run. They've chopped and changed managers every other month, every 6 months, every 2 months, you know, and
I think they've also changed their chairman two or three times as well in that time frame. So look, you're talking about stability at the management level, stability at the top as well.
And when you have that level of inconsistency on all levels, yeah, like it's gonna translate into the players, into the results, onto the pitch, you know. And look, I don't even know what's up with that club, because that club might be cursed, because if you go to that club, you realize the size of that club, yeah, how big the club is, how it's ran. It's a serious, very, very good club. You know what I mean? But I just don't understand how they can end up like in the National League North. Not once, but twice since 2016. They get promoted and they're struggling again. I really hope that they get it together, because like I said, like that club is nowhere near where it should be. Like the magnitude of the infrastructure is nowhere near achieving what it should be. So I really hope they get it together as soon as. But like they have got a bright spark, like Jamal said, and Dipo Akanyemi, like he's coming and he seems like he's getting going. So yeah, hopefully he can be the light that shines on everyone else, helps everyone else, bro. Right,
okay, so Don Polion has finally arrived. He's popping up with the goals. He's a striker that really knows where the goal is, and he popped up with 2 goals in a 3-0 win against Kidderminster. Gateshead surprisingly lost to Woking, 3-1. Gateshead were at home. We went there and got our pants pulled down first half, Laurie. It wasn't pretty. Maynard versus Oxford City drew. And Hartlepool, Desiree, another striker that's come into the league and banging the goals. So be aware of him when you play against him. And they beat AFC Fylde 3-1. So that was the roundup of the Saturday first round of bank holiday fixtures. And then we come on to the Monday fixtures. Now, this is the thing about the National League. A lot of my friends that play in the league, they don't have this problem where they've got to sit home, get recovered, not drink, not eat too much. They can just recover and chill. Maybe go carnival, or Notting Hill Carnival if they want to, yeah. But us National League players, we've got 2 games in the space of 2 days. It's really tough. How do you find the recovery as a goalkeeper? Because I imagine it's very different from us outfield players. But how's your recovery for you guys?
So for you guys, I feel sorry for you, because for me, it's a ridiculous ask. Like, to ask you guys to exert yourselves how you do running around for nearly 100+ minutes now with the extra time and that. I think it's crazy. I think and you physically cannot recover in that time. And I just find it, considering we're not allowed 7 substitutes as well, is crazy. And for me though, as a goalkeeper, it's more psychological, because our games can be spent, doing nothing, but then you need it in the 93rd minute. and you have to psychologically stay switched on the whole game, waiting for that one moment where you may be needed. And you find that you get so psychologically tired, like mentally tired more than anything. You don't feel as physically tired. So for me, it revolves around obviously doing your ice baths, eating well still, but it'd be involving maybe I'll go to the gym and have a little sweat on to get the crap out my legs and obviously sort of physically try and stay with it. And then sleeping's my biggest thing, because psychologically I need to get myself back to a mental place where I go again Monday and switch on again and stay focused for whenever I might be needed.
Sure. And I've got a question for you as a goalkeeper. Sorry, Fem. In the Monday fixtures now, we had maybe a first in National League history where 3 goalkeepers went in goal for Aldershot in their game. And apparently both goalkeepers the first goalkeeper got sent off.
Yeah. And
their replacement goalkeeper conceded before he touched the ball.
Wow.
And then for some reason they had another goalkeeper coming in, Kwame Thomas, who's a great striker by the way. I'm not sure about his goalkeeping skills because he conceded before touching the ball as well. So talk me through that. Have you ever seen anything like it? Have you ever been sent off where the goalkeeper on the bench, have you ever seen anything like it?
Jamal, do you know what? I genuinely think Aldershot are cursed with goalkeepers because I was there on loan.
It lost, by the way, 3-0. Sorry, I should have put it in. Easily beat 3-0.
I'm not surprised, but I went on loan there not last season, the season before, from when I was at MK Dons. And when I left, obviously Mitch Walker come back in, fantastic goalkeeper, brilliant. But sadly, Mitch done his knee very, very, very badly, had to come off. And then I think it was Ethan Ross played the next game, and then he got ridiculously injured as well. And they just went through this stage of like losing goalkeepers. So it must be a thing at Aldershot where they just have a mad moment with goalkeepers, and it's a crazy situation. Sort of back in the day where I got sent off at Kettering, it was a case of like the managers would never roll without a goalkeeper on the bench, but I think it's seen more and more every day. And I think for me as a goalkeeper, from a goalkeeper's point of view, I think it's mad because it's such a specialised position and it can cost you a game.
You think so? It's easy being a keeper. All you got to do is catch it, dive a little bit. It's not even hard, bro. It's not that hard.
If it was that easy, mate, I'd be playing for England. Tell me about it. Honestly, if it was that easy.
Do you know what got me? What you said, Laurie, you were like, boy, you just got to like, you do nothing for 90 minutes and then 93rd minute you're called upon. When you said that, I said, oh, this job is not easy, man.
No, you know what? It's not an easy job, and it's psychologically very tough. It's a very demanding position. It's very psychological where you have to stay focused, because if you don't, you make a mistake, and then you deal with the fact that you've made a mistake that 9 times out of 10 inevitably costs your team a goal. Openly admit Saturday, I should have done better with the first goal. But you can't then let that affect your game. You have to go on and you have to be able to continue your game as if nothing's happened. So goalkeeping is massive. I've had a chat with you, Fem, at Wembley, obviously on the finals day, and it is majorly psychological goalkeeping. And you have to be able to master that pressure of you can control what happens to your team. You can't affect what happens out on the pitch as such, but you have to try and hold it together to just keep it at a 0 for your team. And if you don't, and you do make that mistake, you're begging that your team bail you out of the mud, because it's such an up-down position. And I used to be awful when I was younger, because I'd make a mistake and my whole game would go to pot. Whereas now you have to kind of try and forget that mistake and move on and continue your game, because there's 80+ minutes left where you can change your game, and I managed to be a part of playing our third on Saturday, took a cross, fizzed it out early to Brunty, who then obviously done his thing, slid it across, and we ended up getting a third from it. So it changes just like that. But you have to keep your standard high.
Sorry, would you say goalkeeper is the hardest position on the pitch? No banter aside, do you actually think
psychologically, yes.
Okay.
I think psychologically you have to be one of the strongest players on the pitch to deal with that situation of if you do make a mistake, it's going to cost your team very heavily, and you can be the difference between 3 points and no points. And technically, I'm going to be biased and it might upset a few people, but technically I do think it's one of the toughest positions because there's so many things that go into it. I run a coaching school, and
I was going to ask about that.
And it just, one thing I'll always say to my kids is we need to master the basics and really sort of, get the technical details down, because those technical details can be the difference between making a save and not making a save, or making a mistake and not making a mistake. Simple things as like, if you've got a bouncing ball in front of you, if you don't keep your head over it and you lift your head away, there's a chance that it's going to come off of you and you're going to drop the ball. You take your eye off the ball for a minute when you're taking a cross, you're going to drop it.
Yeah.
And there's so many different things. Like, I've got big men like you trying to hustle me on a corner and I'm trying to catch it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's hard. So you physically have to be at it. Mentally, you've got to be so strong, because unfortunately the position we play in, that when you are conceding goals, everyone points the finger at the goalkeeper.
I hear you, man. The way you explained it, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. And I feel like we need to be more conscious of that as well, I don't think that information there should be disregarded. It's a lot.
Sure.
But yeah, going back onto the fixtures from Monday, only 3 teams picked up maximum points. And this is why I love the bank holiday games, because as much as they're tiring, you can really kick on your season if you started badly, or you can really cement your place with a solid run of points. So Rochdale beating York City 3-1. Tyson Clare scoring another brace. So that's 4-2 for him. Woking won as well, beating Dorking. Our friend Dennon Lewis, who left us in the summer, scoring goals there. And Daggers, obviously, building on the win against you guys, they beat Wheelstone. I need a surprise package from you, Laurie. Who do you see being the dark horse in our league? Obviously, we've got the Chesterfields and they beat Hartlepool. That was probably the game of the weekend. But who do you see like as a dark horse that maybe fans maybe won't see coming?
Gateshead.
Yeah.
Because I think Gateshead, when they get rocking and rolling with their football, we've both been on the back end of their footballing style. We had it in the FA Trophy. They blew us away and went 3-0 up in 30 minutes. And we could not get near them. Yeah. So I think if they really get rolling Gateshead, which I'm pretty sure they will at some point, and their style of play and how they can play will cause a lot of teams problems. And they are a very good side. And I think they are definitely one to watch. And I'd be surprised if they aren't there and thereabouts in the round of playoffs come the end of the season, if I'm being honest.
Talking about your game on Monday, coming back from the loss, which is always the best thing to do. Once you lost one, go and win the next one. Beating a good Ebbsfleet team, Nicky Kabamba making up threes, go at the other end, scoring a hat-trick. So how did that game go? Obviously, disappointed to concede 2, but an exciting game, it sounds like.
That game was like early stages of what the Golden Boot could look like, with Kabamba getting a hat-trick and Polian getting 2.
Polian's a good player, mate. He's one that people need to watch out for. And you boys, his pace is mental, by the way. He is a quick boy. And he's in front of goal, he will score. And his movement is crazy. Like, he's constantly on the move. He's always looking to get in behind. And I tell you now, when he gets motoring, he's a tough guy to stop. He is quick. But no, we were very good. We did our job well. We played very good football. They scored against the run of play. And then we really settled into our rhythm and controlled the game, But Ebbsfleet played some lovely stuff. They're another team who try and play, and they've got this whole footballing brain, which is nice to see, because it's coming more and more international league now. But we forced them to play into our hands with what we set up. We managed to force them long and managed to make them go long, which they weren't obviously comfortable with, which played straight into our hands because we got the ball and then controlled the game. And deservedly, I would say we could have been 6 or 7 up,
I feel as though Poland's going to do a bit of a Langstaff. And don't laugh when I say it, but if the season before Langstaff came to the National League and blew it away with, I think, 40-odd goals, he was the National League North top goal scorer. And that's what Poland was last year. And it was the first couple of games where it was a bit quiet. But I've known Dom for a long time. He's a natural-born goal scorer. So it's not surprising to see him popping up with the goals. And up the top right now is him, Desiree, Kabamba. Those guys, the strikers are scoring cheeky, he's popping up with these goals. So the strikers are really earning their money at the moment. It's just for us.
I feel like Bank Holiday is a big weekend. Like Bank Holiday weekend is a big weekend. Obviously, opportunity to get 6 points in a matter of 3 days, and also for a chance for those strikers to really get their tally up and just like, you know what I mean, just peel away. Like that's what a couple man done. That's what a couple.
I will say it. Big Nicky's getting rolling. You know, he's another one who, you know, he's a nuisance to play against. Like I wouldn't want to be anyone playing up against Nicky.
Hey, Fem, you see what he's trying to do? Fem, you see what
he's going to get rolling. He's going to get rolling, boys. So, you know what's coming.
You see what he's trying to do there. But to be fair, you know what? Him and Leanne Love, they've got similarities that I really like.
Yeah.
And Lee's the exact same. But let's go on to the elephant in the room. The surprise result of the weekend. Oxford City winning their first game ever in the National League. A 4-0, you could call it a rout, to be fair. Let's call it what it is. A quite embarrassing scoreline for Bournemouth. Myself and Femi both started in that game. It was quite embarrassing, to be honest with you, Laurie. It was tough because we started so well. First half was fine. Probably could have been 1 or 2 goals up. But as you know, in this league, as you said, against the run of play, they got a goal. And you know what? From then on, they just kicked on. Fem, what did you think? And then, Laurie, I want to hear what you saw from a different perspective. Fem?
Yeah. Well, I ain't got nothing great to say about the game, first and foremost. You know, we've had our conversations as a team, and yeah, I'm gutted. It's embarrassing, to be honest with you. I feel like on a personal level, I can't tell you the last time I've conceded 4 goals, you know. So that's very embarrassing, you know. And you already know, Bournemouth as a club, we pride ourselves on having the best defence and pride ourselves on clean sheets. So that's definitely the total opposite of what we are, in it. Credit to Oxford, you know, they stayed in the game. And when you stay in the game and you don't concede, because first half it could have been 2-0 up, could have been 3-0 up, but credit to them, they didn't concede. And when you stay in the game, and the longer you stay in the game, you give yourselves more of a chance, innit? And when their chances came, they took it. They were clinical, you know, they were much more clinical than us. So I've got to give it to them. Credit to the players. I feel like they try to, they play good football. But listen, congrats to Oxford, innit? But yeah, on my personal view, like, yeah, it's disappointing.
For me, yeah, it's always going to be a shock result to see you guys chipping 4. Because like you say, everyone knows that you're a hard defence to get through, and obviously you're very well drilled and very well, like, you know, set up and in what you're doing, and you all know your jobs. I just think, like you say, Jamal, it's like, if you don't take your chances and you give a team like Oxford a chance, they're only going to grow in confidence, because they just need that 1 goal to then kick that result may kick their season on. Who knows? They may now really move on and move forward from the result against you boys, and actually start to have that confidence now and go, hang on a minute, we're not just here to be the whipping boys. We're actually going to, you know, do something here. And I think when you're in that situation against a team like Oxford, are going to everyone needs to be mindful of them, because you cannot in this league go into any game thinking you're just going to turn up and beat someone. Impossible. Doesn't happen. You guys see it at the weekend. Everyone would have looked at that and gone, yeah, Bournemouth will walk that game. But it just goes to show in this league, anyone can beat anyone. And that is the famous saying in this league. And it's, you know, it is the way it is. And sometimes them shock results do pop up.
Definitely. You know what the worst thing is? I don't think we underestimated them. And as much as I say we could have been 2 goals up, on the day, we probably didn't just do the basics of defending well enough. And that's nothing to do with the striker. That's nothing to do with the midfield. We take full responsibility as a back unit, because sometimes we're the ones that win the games. As much as they're the ones that score, we're the ones that win the game at the same time. So it's just something that we're going to have to learn from. You know, sometimes you get punched in the mouth. You got to wipe your mouth and get up and go again. You know, and then we've got a derby game against you boys on Saturday. So there's nothing more that could get us up for that, because as we know, if we perform like that, it's gonna be a long, long day. But yeah, we'll move on and we'll learn from that. And that's the main thing about football. There's always another game around the corner. Do you know what I mean? Sure. But yeah, so going back onto the games, 2-0 in Halifax versus Gateshead and Kiddie versus Maidenhead. Solihull continued their great start away to Oldham, beating them 2-0. Mark Beck and Josh Kelly forming a great partnership. They're a little bit like Peter Crouch and Michael Owen. Like the little and large combo. One's really quick, one's really tall. Like, I'm really enjoying watching them. I don't definitely enjoy playing against them, because Becky he's like a giraffe. That's what we used to call him when we was at Wrexham, like the giraffe. But lovely geezer. But they're really picking up. So how do you see Solihull? I know you said Gateshead are a surprise team, but Solihull for me, they can. I know it's only August, but they can carry on the way they have. They could be the dark horses.
I don't think dark horses is the word for them, because Solihull, when you look at the previous seasons, have always been in and around it as well. Obviously, they dropped away last year. Fresh manager and new ideas, something different, and obviously it's working. You know, fresh ideas, players that are in there of something new. And you know what it's like when a new manager comes in, you get that new manager bounce, they call it. And I think, you know, I don't feel like dark horse is the word for them. I feel like if you were to go and speak to anyone around Solihull, they would say, yeah, that's expectation of where we should be in and around the playoffs, or definitely up there, because they have been for so many years, been in the playoffs, finals or playoffs and stuff like that. So yeah, I think they're up there where they should be, in my opinion of it.
You know what? I said dark horse simply because Neil Ardie left in pre-season. Dallas, one of the best strikers. Gudger, one of my favourite centre-halves. Howe left. So that's 3 big players and a massive manager to go out the door. So I don't think they was expected to start how they have. And hats off to them, to be fair. Hats off to them.
For sure.
What about you, Fem? And also the AFC Fyfield drew 3-3 with Altrincham. Nick Horton carrying his good form, scoring a ridiculous goal. How do you see the Solihull and AFC Fyfield games, Fem?
AFC Fyfield, Altrincham, obviously that's up north. You know, Liam Hogan already told us that up north it's a merry-go-round where players just do the merry-go-round like that from club to club to club to club, you know. So it's one of those fixtures where there's probably a lot of familiar faces. Like you said, Nick Horton doing what he does. And the Fyfield, obviously I haven't played Fyfield for a couple of years, but from what I remember about Fyfield is that they definitely play total soccer, you know, and now they've got that option then on Mateo up top where they can add something to their game. With Altrincham, they play free-flowing football, so I can imagine that both teams, they've got a lot of goals in them, you know, and that's what we saw on the day. We saw 3-3 draw, both teams scoring 3 goals. With the Oldham Solihull game, yeah, like Solihull just continue doing what they're doing, you know. Solihull are a good team, really good team. Mark Beck and Josh Kelly up front. It's like big and small, in it. You know, Mark Beck wins the flick-ons, but Kelly can run for days. So yeah, they just continue doing what they're doing. I think they've got a very, very strong midfield. And I think what they've added to their midfield, obviously, you know, we had them on last week, but what they added to their midfield is legs, you know, with Gus Mafato, and obviously Josh Labadie's injured right now. But I feel like, yeah, they've got a real squad together, and I feel people should watch out for them this season.
No, for sure. So going on to the next part of the show, Laurie, we do something called a word of the week. What I would start off with would be the word push. It can be anything. So my word this week is push. So anytime you feel as though you are absolutely doing your maximum, working at your maximum, push to go again. So for instance, today, when I was in the gym with Lily, I was on the weights, but I felt as though I couldn't do it, and I just really pushed through. So even when I'm on the football pitch, I feel as though, okay, I'm having a good game, but okay, how can I push this, and how can I get my other friends, my other teammates through this game and maybe improve their performances? So my word of the week is push, just trying to be better and doing more than maybe my brain thinks I can achieve. How about you?
My one's an old school word that everyone loves and everyone uses and everyone's heard in football many, many times. And it's bounce back ability, because things ain't always going to go right. Sometimes you're not going to show up to the party, whether it's on a personal level or a team level or at work, or something may not have gone right. But for me, it's then how quickly can you digest that? Then how quickly can you move forward from that? What are you going to do to put it right? And what are you going to do to, really make that right for yourself? Do you know what I mean? And there's always another opportunity to put it right. People in work will have the next day to go and make it right. Whereas we had the Saturday, then the Monday, and then on a personal level, if you make a mistake, it's how you go into training the next day and what you do in training and how hard you push to put that mistake right.
Oh, I love that. I love that one.
When they say birds of a flock fly together, is that the saying? The flock of the birds of the flying. That's like my friend,
Why are you so close to the screen like that?
Like he was talking to me there.
Why are you so close to the screen?
I feel like he was talking directly to me. It's for me. I needed to hear that. I needed to hear that one.
Go on, fam. Let's hear it.
Laurie, big up. That was proper. My word of the week is strength. It's strength. I feel like you go through life and you live life, and subconsciously, without knowing, you build up a callous. You build up a callous, a resilience, and whatnot over the years, without even knowing. And I feel like, sometimes we need to tap into it. We need to tap into it when times get hard. But you don't realize you have it. People don't realize how strong you actually are. People don't realize how resilient we actually can be. So I feel like, especially with the experience we had yesterday, I feel like, it's time to use some of that strength that I've built up over the years and move on from what happened. There's a saying that I've been saying to myself a lot recently: it don't get easier, you only get stronger. And no matter what happens, hello, dog.
Sorry. Dog's come to
no matter what happens, you're gonna feel whatever emotions you're gonna feel, whatever physical or tiredness, fatigue, or emotional pain, or anger. You're gonna feel all of these things in it. It's the strength that's gonna get you over the line and help you move forward. So I would say strength is my word for the week.
Nice.
And do you know what I loved about this episode is the fact that we've got a totally different perspective. Obviously, with a goalkeeper, your mind's completely different. So this is great for any young goalkeeper watching, a player of your stature who's played in the league, who's played over however many games you've played in your career. If you could give a word of advice to any young goalkeeper, what would it be?
Pretty simple. Just keep going. There's going to be so many ups and downs in the goalkeeping world. Someone will like you, someone won't like you. You'll come to a manager who adores you. You'll come to a manager who you don't even have to step on the pitch and he doesn't like you at all. And build mental strength. So I know that's more than just like it's bits of advice, but build mental strength, because similar to what Fem said, you build up a callus. I think you said, Fem, and you have to build a thick skin as a goalkeeper, because when you make a mistake, you feel like the only person on the pitch and you feel like everyone's against you. They're not, but it's just how it feels. So you do need to build up that mental strength, but just don't stop.
How do you build up that mental strength, though? That's another question that everyone might say, "Oh, Femi, you're a mind monster. Like nothing gets through. Or Jam, you're so mentally strong." But how do you build that? Is it something that's born within inside you? Something that your parents give you? Is it something that you teach yourself? Like how do you build mental strength?
I think you have to believe in yourself first and foremost. You have to believe in your own ability and trust your own ability. When them times are coming through and creeping through, you have to just remember what you do and how strong you have been. And that whole mental self-talk of visualization also of like what you've done in the past. You know what I mean? And it's like when you start to come to terms with what's happened and realizing you can't change that, you don't waste time worrying about that, because you can't change it. No one goes out to make a mistake on purpose. But the sooner you can realize that over worrying about it isn't going to change it. So if you need to find a way to digest it, why it happened, then you've got to put it to bed and move forward again. Because you sitting there worrying day after day about it isn't going to change it. So you have to just try and go with that mindset of like, right, it's happened. That's why it happened. I'll do this. Done.
I love that.
I feel like you got to stay close to the hard times, man. And what I mean by close is that you've got to keep it somewhere. Like, remember hard times that you've got through. Keep it in a box somewhere, innit? And whenever you're going through something, just go to that box and open up that box and remember a tough time period that you got through. I know that's how I built my mental strength, innit? And you know, I always talk about it. I know I might joke about it all the time, but I always say like, "Oh, it wasn't always like this," or you know what I mean, or yeah, once upon a time we were, you know what I'm saying. So I always stay close to those times, and whenever I'm going through something and I think, "Oh, how am I gonna get out of this?" I realize, "Oh, do you know what? I've been through 10 times worse than this. Oh, this is nothing, really," you know. So yeah, that's what I do. That's how I build up my mental strength.
You know what? I've loved this episode because as much as it's been fun and it's been great, I feel like we've both got like our shotguns under the table, just like ready to aim each other like at any moment.
It's crazy.
Because come Saturday, I'm a defender, Femi defender, you're a goalkeeper. When there's a corner, I'm trying to take off your head, you're trying to punch off my head. It's just what it is. I just love the fact that we're able to have these combos now as players, but also switch on to our competitive mind, our competitive spirit, and tap into that. And it's going to be a great game once again, man. Because obviously, let's have it right. You beat us twice in league last year, and then we came to your place in the playoffs and won the game. So it's kind of like revenge mission in a way for you guys. So it's kind of like we need this game. This is kind of the perfect game for us at the moment, and yeah. I love the way we prepare and we get ready for games, but it's like World Cup final week when we're playing Barnet.
It's always exciting. It's never a dull game.
And you know what's mad? We've been seeing your manager at our games and that as well. Like,
I love him.
We've been seeing Connor as well, and it's like everyone's cool, but we all know like.
Come Saturday, that changes. The gloves are
on. 2 weeks ago. Oh, that was going on. What's going on? I held them up, and I was like, we got you lot soon. So yeah, but they know it as well. It's calm.
So what? One last question. We played you guys at your place. You beat us. Last minute goal. I think it was De Havilland whipped it. He whipped it like here. If I went like that, I would have headed it. But he whipped it here, and someone kicked our door. Laurie, yeah.
I heard about this, and do you know what? In my honest opinion, I genuinely don't know who it was.
Nah, you see that there? You know what it is? You know what this reminded me of? You know when Alex Ferguson, I think it's Cesc Fabregas threw a pizza at Alex Ferguson's head, and everyone says that. I know Laurie knows who it is, though. He just doesn't want to say. He just doesn't want to say.
Listen, no blood on these hands.
Nah, bro, excellent. Thank you for coming on, man. I really appreciate you giving us your time. And continued success apart from when we play you guys, obviously, man. But Fem?
No, Laurie, pleasure, man. Absolute pleasure, man. And yeah, we'll go to war on Saturday. But guys, I hope you enjoyed watching this episode. Please like, subscribe, share, you know, show a friend or whatever. The subscribe button should come in the corner there at some point soon. And we'll see you guys all next week.